Yeah, we go straight into our morning flow block. So this is 3 to 4 hours of uninterrupted, move the needle deep work time. Really, we classify this as flow time, which is really uninterrupted, move the needle work. So this could be work that you want to do it doesn't require you to collaborate with anybody, doesn't require you to be responding to messages or texts. It's really work that is going to move the needle on your goals. Welcome to the Takeover with Tim and Cindy, where we show you how to dominate every area of life and business. Let's get winning.
Welcome to the Takeover with Tim and Cindy. Today we're going to talk about peak performance routines and not just how to get the most performance out of your life day to day, week to week, month to month, but how do you do that in a way that's not burning out?
Yes.
I think there's so much information out there. There's so much good stuff. But I think there can be so much overload that you think about the concept of peak performance and it's almost exhausting. So today we're actually going to walk you through what our routines are. We've invested a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of resources. We've talked to a lot of peak performance specialists on how do you optimize your day, your weeks, your months, just down to the nitty gritty in a way that also maximizes happiness, in a way that you could get done with a 12-hour day of work if that's what you put in and still be energized and happy and vibrant. So this is not just about how do I get the most output in one area of life. This is how do you live on a high level of performance, happiness in a way that you could sustain year over year, month over month, and actually get more and more energized from this routine. And It's that concept of that $1 billion winning racehorse, right? You don't exhaust the racehorse to nothing and then have them race again every day and just exhaust them out. You want to really take care of yourself. You want to really make sure that you're nurturing not just the output, but you yourself as a human in all areas of life. So we're going to go through our routine today and walk you through. So as we do that, just make sure that you're looking for the ways that you can optimize your life so that you actually walk away from this better, happier, healthier, more productive person.
Yes.
So let's get started.
We did a training by some of the world's top neuroscientists and psychologists in the world about peak performance and flow. One of the things that I loved from that training was the difference between professional athletes, people that get paid to play sports and do athletics, and corporate athletes. Essentially, corporate leaders, executives, people we term corporate athletes, we do very intense periods of work, and we work, and we work, and that's the main driver for hitting our goals. Right? Just put in more work harder, work longer hours to reach a certain output. When we think about professional athletes, they have very intense periods of work, training, performing, and then very intense periods of recovery, deep recovery. So what it means to be a corporate athlete really changed my perspective, whereas you need intense periods of work, but also intense periods of recovery. In order for you to show up as your best day in and day out, it's not just watching Netflix at the end of the day, having wine, going to sleep, and then trying to do it again tomorrow. If you really want to reach peak performance levels, you have to operate like a corporate athlete, having very intense periods of work, deep flow, and then also having very intense periods of recovery. And for us, starting to shift our perspective and our mindset around what do our daily routines look like that will allow us to have a lot of energy, that will allow us to have intense periods of work, but also recovery. We had to reframe and really shift our daily routine in a way that both fits in with our biology, but also is in line with the goals that we have for business and for our lives. And the way that we've really transformed our routine has also rippled into the way that we operate with our team and the no burnout culture that we have.
Yeah. So I think a lot of the value that we got from this allowed us to equip others. So as you're going through this, as you start implementing some of these protocols and some of these routines into your life, also make sure that you're sharing this information.
Yeah.
Share this episode with people on your team, with your spouse. Share this because it's going to allow you to have a better day. I think that the two things that were a really big shift, and we'll kind of walk through our day to day, for me was what I thought previous active or recovering was that I'm just going to go grab a drink at happy hour, maybe watch Netflix, chill out. The two biggest things that stuck out to me, and I think is very important that I really have just drill in with people that are wanting to live happy, healthy, productive lives, is number one, productivity is not busyness.
Yes.
Productivity is productivity. It's getting tasks done one at a time, focused, phone out of the room, no distraction. Those times where you just get so much done. That can be replicated. And I think prior, there was this feeling of jumping from one thing to the other. It felt busy, but it actually wasn't productive and it was exhausting. And the other part was what it means to recover and to recharge. I thought was, grabbing a wine, watching a movie. And while those things are fun, they actually don't put you in recovery.
Yeah.
The TV is like junk food for the brain. We love watching a movie on the weekend. It's not that I don't enjoy those things, but it doesn't recover your brain, and it actually contributes to burnout.
Yeah, your brain is still very much active when it's watching TV. So why don't we walk everybody through what our daily routine looks like, and how we've actually optimized every hour of every day for peak performance.
Let's rock and roll. I will say this: if you have one of the alarms, you gotta get rid of that. You don't want to, that puts your body in a stress when you wake up, and you do not want to be wake in a stressful mood. We actually have smart lights in our house. You can get a smart light for your room for super cheap, but a smart light that replicates the sun rising. And so 15 minutes before our alarm goes off, and for us it's music. It's like worship music, but the light starts going off, slowly turning up 15 minutes before we wake up. We have Oolers, which actually are they keep our bed cool at nighttime, and those actually start warming up before we wake up.
Yeah.
And so we it wakes us up in a non-stressful state. Wake up, say 4:45. We do our prayer together. We do our visualization, write down our goals, visualize. It's a really good time to visualize, because the reason why we do this, now just remember, everybody's going to have a different biology of when they get up, and we'll talk about that in a second. Everybody's going to have a different DNA of how they work. I'm going to walk you through why we do the things that we do, and then you can see if that applies to you. And the reason why we do the visualizing and the goals in the morning is because we find our minds are most receptive to believing for big things.
Yes.
They're not busy. I'm not thinking about a million other things. It really allows me to write down the goal, undistracted mind, no clutter, and really visualize and feel the goal of the house and the car and the whatever all those goals are for you. It really allows you to just stay calm and get into those.
Yeah.
So what do we do from there? We do our prayer, we do our visualize, and then what do we do right from there?
Yeah, we go straight into our morning flow block. So this is 3 to 4 hours of uninterrupted, move the needle deep work time. Really, we classify this as flow time, which is really uninterrupted, move the needle work. So this could be work that you want to do. It doesn't require you to collaborate with anybody. It doesn't require you to be responding to messages or texts. It's really work that is going to move the needle on your goals. I love this time in the morning. Once we implemented this, we just noticed ourselves getting so much more done because 3 to 4 hours of uninterrupted work, I mean, how much can you get done during that time? We really prioritize getting our most important tasks for the day done during those 3 to 4 hours. So by 10 a.m., we've already accomplished so much.
I just want to point out here too is that studies have shown like the average worker is getting 2 hours of actual work done in a day.
Yeah, 2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3
Sometimes
hours.
less, yeah.
Sometimes less. And when we're doing a flow block, is uninterrupted. Your email's off, your notifications off. You're not on your phone. Your phone's in the other room.
Yeah.
Even your computer, we black out our computers. There's no notifications that can come through on our computers. There's not one thing that can interrupt us. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing that can interrupt you.
Doors closed.
Doors closed. And if the average worker is getting 2 to 3 hours of productivity done in a day, I think it's a lot less.
I think it's less.
And you're able to get 3 to 4 hours of work done by 10 a.m., you're effectively getting up to twice as much done in 4 hours than one person does in one day. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's not, we haven't even done our morning meeting yet.
Yeah.
This one was a really big game changer for us.
Yes.
This is the high priorities. A lot of people talk about do the hard thing first. That's good. And I agree with that if the first thing you should do is the hard thing. Mm-hmm. What is most important with this time is what is the biggest needle moving thing that you need to get done here? And for me, it's call reviews. For the sales team, it's looking at the call reviews that were done for the sales reps, quality control. It's not my favorite thing to do by any means. So that's the first thing that I get done not because it's the hard thing. I do like that concept of doing the hard thing first. But I think what's more important than doing the hard thing first is doing the smart thing first. Mm-hmm. What's the smartest thing for me to do in this time that if I get it done now is going to have the highest leverage activity? And so for me, it's the call reviewing, right? Because that's the closest thing to our revenue, getting clients. And for you, what are some of those kind of tasks that you would say that you do in that block?
Definitely. Yeah, if we're working on a project as a team and I have a certain contribution that I'm giving to that project, I'm working on that first thing because 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. comes, I want to make sure that that's delivered to the team. I'm also doing a lot of quality control, reviewing reports, anything that's hyper-focused that I know is a high leverage activity for myself and for the team that's going to move the needle. That's what I'm working on during that time. Why we chose the morning to do this flow block also has a lot to do with our biology. Not everybody is very sharp in the morning. A lot of people are really sharp in the afternoon, or even, a lot of our friends do great at night. Nighttime is their perfect time to get hyper-focused. They're the most productive and the most awake or the most active at night. So we chose the morning to do our morning flow blocks because mentally we're very sharp. And so you have to realize for yourself and identify what time of the day allows you to get the most productive work done. Our previous routine where, we study a lot of different performance routines and things like that. For a period of time, you and I would wake up and go straight to the gym. We'd do the gym, we'd get ready for the day. We're probably ready by 7 or 8 a.m. And our minds are really sharp in the morning. So those 3 or 4 hours that we were wasting going to the gym, getting ready, and then meeting with the team, we could have been getting our most important work done during the time that we are the most productive. You and I both do not do good at night. We're not the sharpest at night, but there are some people that do great. Their most productive, creative work is in the evening or at night. So you have to identify what that looks like for you and then optimize your time around those peak performance hours for you and your biology.
Yeah, so just to be clear on that, there's 3 types of people. Morning people, afternoon people, evening people. That's when your productivity is. There's not one that's better or worse.
Yeah.
I think the common myth is that all high performers all get up at 3 a.m., work out 5 hours, do 16 hours of meditation. I feel like there's all this myth. And the reality is you got to figure out when your biology is and don't fight against it.
Yes.
And I love what you said is I think everybody thinks the ideal thing is wake up, cold shower, workout, meditate, like all these things. And it's the reality. If your brain is the most sharp when you first wake up, why not just get to work?
Get your highest leverage activities done for the day when your mind is the sharpest. So that is a very common misconception that I think we had experienced very firsthand, right? We used to wake up and work out versus waking up and getting straight to it because our minds are sharpest in the morning. We've tangibly seen our results skyrocket from making those small tweaks and changes.
We woke up, we did our prayer, we did our visualization. We got four hours of awesome work done. We've already gotten done in a morning what most people don't even get done in an entire day. Mm-hmm. What most people don't get done in 2 days. What happens from there? I mean, do we just boom jump into the next thing, or how do we make sure we're going from one part of our day to the next part of the day, and sustaining energy, sustaining quality? Because if you just burn out, you're not getting anything done. So what does that look like as we go to the next part of the day to make sure we're sustaining a peak performance?
Yeah, it's important to recognize after 3 to 4 hours of intense, hyper-focus, deep work and flow, your brain is exhausted at that point. If you've really been putting in that work, you've really been focused, it's mentally taxing. So coming out from that flow block, you need to give yourself a time period of relax, or what we call reset. So what that looks like for us between the hours of say 10:30 to 11, we have our all team meeting at 11 a.m. We do walks, we do meditations, we try and reset our minds. We love Wim Hof. If you've ever done anything Wim Hof, we love the breath work that Wim Hof does. It gives us sustained energy. It boosts our energy levels after that intense period of hyper focus. So we try to do things that are going to give us that recharge. It doesn't need to be a 1 hour break that we take. Often one of those meditations or Wim Hof breath work is 10 to 15 minutes at max, but it gives us that energy that we need to go into the next thing, which is our team meeting at 11 a.m.
Yeah, and I think that was a really big one for us, because I think there's also this myth of you just got to grind. Mm-hmm. Just got to grind. Just put it down. Shut up. Stop being a wimp.
Work
and deal with it. And there is a lot of validity to that. In the sense of, your ability to push and do things when you don't feel like it's very important. It's a very important skill and talent to develop. However, it's not about doing the hard thing. It's about doing the smart thing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the smart thing is the hard thing. And sometimes the smart thing is to sit your butt on the couch, pull up a meditation app, or, we do the Wim Hof thing on Spotify. It's like 15 minutes, or go for a walk in nature.
Yes.
That's the smart thing to do. And so, we do a reset between our morning flow. It might be a breath work. I do intermittent fasting right now. So that might be the first time that I eat is around 10 or so. And, because I usually eat from like maybe 10 to 4 or something like that, a 6-hour window. And so we do a recovery. Maybe we get something to eat. Maybe we do a little reset. That also is going to set us up to be, as leaders, the highest skill you can have is equanimity, right? I think even as an entrepreneur, equanimity means you're emotionally stable.
Yeah.
You don't go too low. You don't go too high. And so for us, having a reset between activities like that, or even shifting between different types of activities, that reset allows you to kind of recenter, mm-hmm. restabilize your emotions, your biology, your physiology, and then now kind of set up how you want to show up at this next activity.
Yes, absolutely. Reset and set intentions. It takes discipline to recover. It takes discipline to do meditations. It takes discipline to do breath work. It takes discipline from going from one task to another, taking those 5-10 minutes to recenter. It takes discipline to recover. And so these small things are not just things that you do. You might say like, okay, it's really easy to do it, but it takes discipline to do it. Oftentimes, I'll be honest, after my flow block, and you know this, I just want to go straight into the next thing. It's like that momentum that you have. You're working. Let me go.
An object in motion
wants to stay in motion. Absolutely. Yeah. And Tim has to force me. You do like, let's go do our breath work. Let's do our recovery. Because you're really, really good at just doing the hard things. And so I will say, if you start to implement this, know that it will take some discipline to do the resets. It will take some discipline to do in between activity meditations or just stopping yourself. I have a hard time just stopping. Just stop.
You're not going to feel like doing breath work.
No.
You're not going to feel like doing this as much as going to the sauna.
It sounds great.
And going on a walk and doing some breath work and meditating sounds great.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to do it.
Correct. It
is the hard
easy thing to do is just be on social media, give your brain some brain candy, be on your phone, and then go into the next thing. But the difficult thing to do is the act of recovery.
I love what you said there about what you want to do is you want to be on social media. And I think some people don't realize how detrimental that is. I mean, some people have their dang social media up while they're working.
Yeah.
I used to do that. It was exhausting. You get to the end of the day, burnt out, and you thought it was from the work you did, but it was actually just from the distraction you had. So maybe talk about that, why it is so important in the flow block and then moving into this recovery time that you're really distraction free.
Yes.
Why is that so important?
The currency of the modern day world is attention. What has your attention, where your attention goes, like that's where your focus goes as well. And so if you are essentially we're all very hyper distracted. We're all very, very distracted. The easy thing for us to do is to go on social and to scroll and to give ourselves, our minds, that dopamine hit, right? When you get a new like or a new comment and you're engaging, you're interacting, it's just feeding dopamine into your brain. Let's be honest, 21st century, we're all hyper distracted, and your attention is your most valuable asset. So the ability, even during 3 to 4 hours of intense work, for you to just put your phone on do not disturb and not go on social media is a superpower. I have told people that I do this, like I don't look at my phone in the morning. I put on do not disturb 3 to 4 hours. And it's crazy for some people because they're used to first thing in the morning, checking their phone, getting that dopamine hit from social media. So it's knowing that our tendency, our natural, the way we want to do it is to go on social, get the dopamine, scroll. What we should be doing is removing distractions so that we can be hyper-focused. And the more that you can defend your attention, the more productive you will be. You literally have to guard your attention like it's everything, because it is. And the more that you can be focused on how do I guard my attention so that I can focus on this one thing, eliminate all distractions. I'd rather be doing social media, but what I should be doing is doing a breath work or doing a meditation. And that ability to fix my mind and to focus on something that's going to allow me to do recovery when I really want to be doing social media, that's what gives you that competitive edge and that peak performance protocol.
And I think, too, people don't know how exhausting it is for your brain to have even just your phone on your desk, because there's no notification. Even if the notifications are off, the phone on your desk actually takes up
signaling
like if
your
you're
brain.
If you're a computer, if you've ever seen your computer slow down where it does the little wheel of death, or the little, it's like, and your computer starts bogging down. Imagine your brain's like a computer that can only run so many programs. Ideally, you're just running one program at a time. The moment you start running another program, you start having too many tabs open. This is your brain. The more things going on, that could be just your phone on your desk, not even any notifications. Your brain is being aware of that. Now you have a notification going here. It's like it starts taking up all this bandwidth, and people don't realize that a lot of burnout happens because of multitasking.
Yes.
Because it is scientifically proven to be the most energy draining thing for your brain to do is to be multitasking and to be distracted during work. So multitasking, being distracted, has the most energy use of your brain.
Yes.
And so it makes you tired. And so the reason why having those 3 or 4 hours is the most competitive advantage you can have, is because you're getting 2 days worth of work done in that 4-hour block compared to the average person that is distracted. But then you are going to be drained because your brain is using a lot of stuff. Now, when we go into an active recovery, what we want to do is get the dopamine hit from the phone. But that's going to drain your energy even more. Whereas the hard thing, like we're saying, doing the Wim Hof, doing the meditation, doing the thing like that, that actually rejuvenates your brain, your cell, on a cellular level, on an energy level, on all the different levels, so that you are actually energized again. It's like replenishing all the nutrients, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know the exact wording and the science behind, like, I said nutrients and somebody's watching like, dude, what are you talking about? But like
the gist of it, it's giving you back that energy.
And so even though it's the hard thing to do, the moment you're done with it, what do you always say?
You're thankful that you did it.
Always thankful you did it. So again, this is doing the smart thing. Okay, so let's keep walking through our routine. So we've done the flow, morning flow, no phones, no distractions, did some kind of meditation, maybe went for a walk, undistracted, feeling good again, feeling recharged again, feeling ready again, jumping into the team meeting. What does the next part of our day look like?
Yes, 11 to 12 is team meeting. We have a lot of energy. As a team, we're sharing wins. We call it morning momentum. So we're really getting excited and hyped for the day. Tim and I will break out. I'll do operations team meeting. Tim will do sales team meeting. And we're just doubling down on how do we win for that day, addressing any issues if there are any, but ultimately setting the team up for success. And yes, we meet Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. every day. And I think it's a topic we can talk about another day, all the team meetings that we have, but it's a really amazing way to get the team motivated and excited for the day. So at 11 to 12, where it's all team, we're on Zoom, everybody's there, our team is all remote. It also takes a lot of energy because we want to be present as leaders. We want to show up with energy, enthusiasm, excitement, support the team where they need the help. So from 11 to 12, we do that. And then we do a bigger break. 12 to 2 p.m., we do our afternoon workout and reset. And that gives us the time to truly disconnect. We shut off Slack, shut off emails, all of that. And we go and do a workout. We do lunch. We get food. And this is a longer break, right? So we do the micro breaks, as we mentioned, after the flow block and things like that. But this 2-hour block where it's afternoon reset, really letting our minds have a complete break. We don't go on our phones. It's undistracted as well, but it allows us a full reset and recovery so that when we do come back for what we call day 2, we're energized, we're recharged, we're ready to crush it for the second half or the last half of the day.
Okay, so after a 2-hour break, we've done our workout, we ate healthy. We're not eating fries and a burger. We're eating something healthy, something that energizes you. You don't want to have that. You don't want to have that afternoon crash, and you don't have to have that afternoon crash.
Yes.
And I think a lot of these routines are designed so that you don't have those crashes. Now, because our biology is mostly in the morning, we're not going to get that same level of intense flow in this afternoon. So generally speaking, this is going to be a time of where we're going to be doing more of our meetings if we have like team meetings where it's like the AI innovation meeting, or we've got to do, I got to meet with the sales team or individual sales reps or a sales manager. One-on-ones. This is kind of like a good time to do what we would call the whirlwind.
The busy work. Yes. Meetings, emails, Slack, a lot of the busy work happens during this flow block. And I will say one thing is you actually come back really energized after you've done a workout. So health, energy, fitness is super important because it allows you the energy to have a sustained, very hyper productive day. So I want to make sure that, it's somewhere in your routine that you're incorporating movement, fitness, going to the gym, something that's really going to help you elevate your energy levels, and eating right, as you mentioned, because it's so important for sustained peak performance. The busy work time it's less focus work. It's less deep flow work. We're in and out of meetings. We're responding to emails, Slack, all the whirlwind of the day, things that have to get done, but we choose the hours that we do that. We're not letting that be scattered throughout the day, being pulled from one meeting to another, to email, to Slack, to this and that. We choose from, say it's 2 to 4 or 2 to 6 p.m. This is when we're going to do our busy work. And we've scheduled that in such a way where our mind knows we are going to be doing some of that busyness, and we don't let that creep into our focused, deep flow times.
Yeah, and it can be interviews. I mean, there'll be times when you have just a lot of back-to-backs. I think what's important too is looking at your calendar, making sure you have gaps between activities, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can do 2 calls back-to-back, maybe 3. You can't do 5 calls back-to-back, right? So maybe you could talk just a little bit on what that looks like to for there to be space between activities and how you think about that. Because I think the tendency, I know for me, if I am not hyper vigilant about giving myself space between activities, I will just stack everything in like a Tetris game until I'm just there's nothing left. And that's not productivity, because productivity is how do you do things with efficiency and with energy, and then get to the end of your day not burned out. So maybe you could walk through how you kind of stack those. And I know it works the same in the morning, but I think in the afternoon when you're doing the busy work, the whirlwind, I think it's super important to have those.
Yeah, even more than time management, it's energy management. So when you are thinking about stacking meeting after meeting, by the 3rd meeting, your energy is going to be very low. There's only so much, even as an extrovert, even as somebody that loves to be on calls, it's going to reach a certain point where your energy is going to deplete, right? So you have to figure out what that number is for you. For me, usually 2 meetings, and then I have to take 10, 15, 30-minute break before I go into the next one. Depending on you and your energy levels, you have to know how many meetings you can do back to back before you go into a break. I personally don't get energized by meetings. I'm introverted. And so for me, 2 meetings is enough. And then I have to take a break by myself, either do a breath work or a reset, or even just be before I go into that next meeting, so that I can show up with that energy. So again, even more than time management, it's energy management. It's knowing yourself, knowing your biology and what you need in order to show up as your best. Because if I do 3 or 4 calls back to back, by call 3 or 4, I am not at my best. And as a peak performer, as a high performer, I want to make sure that I'm showing up as my best every single time. So I make sure to have those breaks in between team meetings, or even if I'm meeting with a client or one-on-one.
Yeah, I think the sleep deprivation, exhaustion is not a badge of honor. It just shows that you just don't know how to manage your energy properly.
Yeah.
And I will easily if I only do 1 or 2 breath works throughout the day, like a meditation with some breath work, that's not enough for me. I will find my best days when I got to the end of the day and I crushed it, just absolutely crushed it, got the team everything they needed, smashed all the activities. That day was so productive. It was so good. And we moved the needle. We got so much stuff done. There'll be days where we got more done in one day than I used to get done in a week.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had days that were optimized where we got more done in a day than we would have done in a previous month. Like, it's insane, because you're doing that energy management. And those days are the days that I am very intentional about having 4 times throughout the day that I'm actually sitting down doing breath work, because your neurochemicals, there's only so much neurochemicals that you have for an activity before they're exhausted and they need to be depleted. And that going to your phone does not it doesn't energize you. It actually keeps depleting those neurochemicals. The only way to get those back is through an active recovery routine. So for me, what I found personally is that a 15-minute breath routine will get me right back. And then what I'll notice is I'll have to do it once in the morning, between after my 4-hour, 5-hour flow block, then I do the team meeting. What I find is in the afternoon, I actually need to do about 3 of them. So I think it is important to notice too that as you get later in the day, just pay attention to where your biology ebbs and flows,
levels,
and just be okay with you might only need to do it once in your morning shift, but you might need to do it 3 times in your afternoon shift to really keep your energy levels going. I know for me, that's the case.
Yes, because the more intense the periods of work, the more intense the recovery. So most people will think like, I'm working really, really hard. I just need to keep working and then take a little break and go back to it. But think about that balance. The more intense the work period, the more intense or the more deep the recovery has to be, which takes us into the last thing that we do for the day, which is active recovery.
And the active recovery is, as we said before, it's not getting wine and popcorn. It's not the Olivia Pope diet.
Yeah.
Long day. What do I want to do? I want to grab a beer. I want to watch TV. I want to just hang out and chill. You know, I don't watch sports, so it'd just be more like binge some Netflix. That's what I want to do. Yeah. That's the easy thing to do that will lead to burnout. That will lead to burnout. Tomorrow your energy will be less. You'll feel exhausted, and you'll think you're exhausted because of the work. But you're exhausted because of you're doing recovery that is not recovering. Mm-hmm. So what do you need to do? If what I want to do is drink beer and veg out and eat potato chips, what I need to do is I need to give a real recovery, which can be going to the sauna for 15 minutes, doing breath, calming my mind down. Remember, an object in motion wants to stay in motion. We need to get that object in motion, the emails, the whirlwind. You just got out of your whirlwind period. Mm-hmm. It was like craziness. You got to calm that mind down. You got to calm your nervous system down. You got to get yourself into a recovery state. Now, if you do that, right after that, you know, for us, it's around 7, you know, so we start our day at, you know, about 4:45. By this time of the day, it's about 7. We go into that active recovery. That allows us to spend the next few hours in a calm state. Our brain is turned off. We're not thinking about work. We're not thinking about the stresses. And, you know, from there, you know, usually we'll, depending on what we're doing for the season, but, you know, we'll read a book together. That could be something like, we're reading a book we really suggest called The Mystery of Marriage.
So good.
I forget who the author is. Very, very good book.
We'll put it in the show notes.
We'll put it in the show notes. Very good. And this is more of just of a time for us to just be with each other, because it can feel like, you know, as a couple that we're together all day and we're awesome business partners, but it is nice to have that time where we just are completely turned off from work and we're just like focusing on each other.
Yes, absolutely. The active recovery has been a game changer for us. If there's one thing you take out of this, and I hope there was a lot of keys, but active recovery allows us to sleep better. As you mentioned, that what it does for your mental to just reset, disconnect from the day, whatever happened that day, you leave it aside and allows your body to go into deep rest and recovery. It could look like baths. I love baths, saunas, steam room, a walk, disconnected, being in nature, meditations. There's so many different things that you could do for active recovery. And it doesn't have to be 1-2 hours. It could be 15 minutes. Just that 15-minute period that gives you right after work to just reset your mind, put it in that calm state, reset your nervous system. And the evenings have been so much better now that we've implemented active recovery. And again, it takes discipline to recover. It's not an easy thing to do. The easy thing is to watch Netflix and be on social media. The difficult thing to do and the most beneficial is to do some sort of active recovery.
We monitor a lot of like our HRV scores, our health. And I know, you know, you've been using the Oura Ring, and there's quantity of sleep and then there's quality of sleep. Active recovery is a really big part of shifting your mind and your body into a place where you can get a very high level quality of sleep. So maybe talk about some of the things that can happen to your sleep if you're not doing active recovery, and then some of the benefits of what happens when you are doing the active recovery and what that means for your sleep, because there's no better active recovery than deep sleep, than a really good sleep.
Absolutely.
So how does active recovery help you transition into that time of the night?
Yeah, I've noticed the differences in what I'm tracking with my sleep, REM sleep, deep sleep, things like that. I can notably see the difference from when I've done active recovery from when I have not, how the quality of my sleep is, how deep I sleep, all those different factors. It's completely different when I've done active recovery and when I have not. And so it's been a game changer just doing active recovery and allowing ourselves to go into that rest, relax mode, versus after you watch TV and Netflix, your mind is still very stimulated before you're going into sleep. The blue light, the stimulation that's happening in your brain, all of it. you can research the neuroscience and the biology, psychology behind it all, but it's really potent. Just from me personally, I can see it in the data from just tracking it night over night, how much better my sleep is when I've done active recovery.
Overall, it is a routine that requires commitment. It requires follow through.
Yes.
And it's one of those, I would say it's the hard thing to do to make things easy.
Discipline is freedom. Yeah.
It's the hard thing. This protocol, this routine that we're on, it's hard because it's not what you feel like doing, but it's easy in that it keeps you energized. You never feel burned out.
Yeah.
You always, at the end of the day, you always feel energized again. Then you do the active recovery before we hang out. Now we're having a great time hanging out. You get great sleep. The sleep is awesome. And so because the sleep is awesome, your morning flow is great. It's this very positive feedback loop that takes a lot of discipline to do. But it's so funny how like the hard thing actually makes everything else easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as always, what's at least one thing, that you feel like you could apply, one or two things, if you're watching this, that you feel like you could apply, you could walk away from and make your life better. If a lot of this seems overwhelming, don't let it overwhelm you, because overwhelm is going to lead to you not doing this. So what is one or two things you could take away from this episode and implement that would make you better? And, come back to this, implement that, come back, watch this again, come back to this episode and grab another thing.
Yeah.
I know for us, this changed the game. So yeah, what's that one thing that you could take away from this that would make your life tangibly better?
Yeah. What's one way you can optimize your routine to be in alignment with your biology? Figure out when do you operate the best? When is your mind the sharpest? Is it in the morning, afternoon, at night? Whatever's that one thing that you're going to take out of this episode, implement it, and then start to see the results and let us know how that works out for you.
Yeah, and this is Takeover with Tim and Cindy. Now, if this was the stupidest, dumbest show you've ever heard, and for whatever reason this thing is still playing, and you're like, oh my gosh, why is this thing still playing? Do not rate this show. Do not rate it. However, if you've gotten this far and you say, you know what, I actually got a lot of value from this, or I got some value, or this is really helping me, rate the show. Our goal here is to change lives and is to impact entrepreneurs. Like entrepreneurship and high performance, it is a hard road. Very few go down this road, and we just want to make sure that you're successful in it, that you're happy in it, and that you're energized in it. And if we helped you do that at all, rate the show. It helps us show up more, which allows us to impact and help more entrepreneurs just like yourself, more high performers just like yourself. So that's it. Bye from now. Talk soon.
Bye.